Concepcion here from Strategic Profit Line Trading, coming to you with the plan of the week for week number 17. And ladies and gentlemen, that's right. This week is the Super Bowl of earnings, with the majority of the Max 7 report, and the majority of our companies provide some volatility and great opportunity. So, as always, here's our disclosure. This contest for educational purposes only, not providing any investment advice. This is not tailored to any one individual. Past performance does not guarantee future results, and all investment involve risk. Here's on the agenda: 818 companies reporting this week. So it is going to be that type of week. As always, provide a market overview and I'll cover the news. Here is our week 16 results. Provided 21 zones, went 4-1 and 16 zones, no entry. Pay mindful to those zones this week, as they might meet entry this week with all the volatility we may or may not see. And here you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Again, the pretty much earnings every day with solid companies, and then the big catalyst being on Wednesday with Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, Google reporting after the market, and wrapping us off with Apple on Thursday. Went ahead and updated our wins and losses for last week, bringing us to the year 43-10. Moving on to the news, you can see POTUS was scheduled to speak today at 4 o'clock. The markets did gap down, but they went ahead and closed those gaps already. So for Monday, Japanese yen, for those of you trading futures forex, just be mindful there's a lot of reports, but as you can see, they're all tentative, so nothing impacting the U.S. markets on Monday. Moving on to Tuesday, nothing major. We got consumer confidence at 7 a.m., but again, not foreseeing any volatility happening. For those of you trading futures and forex, you can see the Australian dollar has their CPI report after the market, so be mindful of that. Moving on to Wednesday, Canadian dollar has some reports right after the opening bell. And they have an additional press conference, but the big thing for the US is going to be the federal funds rate and the FOMC statement to see what is going to be the new guidance on whether or not they're going to cut rates in the near future. Those two happening on Wednesday at 11 and 11:30. So be cognizant of some market volatility during that time. Then moving on to Thursday, British pound being affected after hours. And then in the morning, we have advanced GDP, core PCE, employment cost index. So Thursday, it can be a volatile day, especially with the outcome of everybody reporting Wednesday evening. So Thursday should be exciting. And then Friday, there is no news. Now moving into the news, starting with the SPX, again making all new time highs last week. Did gap down this evening, but already closed that gap, and we're still sitting at all time highs. First demand zone I have for you is going to be at 68.5112 to 67.56.79. Moving on to the Nasdaq. Nasdaq again displaying strength, and this positive is mainly towards all the tech stocks that are going to report this week. So first demand zone I have for you is going to be 26,393.94 to 26,116.51 with no supply. Moving on to the Dow Jones. The Dow Jones has not made an all new time high yet. The first demand zone I have for you is going to be at 486.97 to 481.94, and a supply zone at 501.31 to 505.63. If any of the Dow Jones components does report positive earnings, I would not hold much weight on this supply zone, as all the other markets have already made all new time highs. Moving on to the RUT. The RUT all-time highs as well sitting here. The first demand zone I have for you is going to be 2721.44 to 2690.31, with a subsequent level at 2643.48 to 2605.33. Now, getting into the bulk of earnings for this week, starting with Monday. First company I have for you is going to be Verizon, ticker symbol VZ. On the supply side, 50.35 to 52.21. On the demand side, 38.42 to 36.44. Next company I have for you is going to be Domino's Pizza, ticker symbol DPZ. On the supply side, 391.13 to 403.46. On the demand side, 323.40 to 313.70, with a subsequent level at 306.70 all the way down to 284.99. Next company I have for you is going to be Bank of Marin, ticker symbol BMRC. On the demand side, 16.60 to 15.88, and on the supply side, 28.93 to 31.86. Moving on to Monday afternoon, first company I have for you is going to be Celestica, ticker symbol CLS. No supply on the demand side, 354.81 to 345.45, with a subsequent level at 328.75 to 313.38. Next company I have for you is Rambus, ticker symbol RMBS. On the demand side, 133.41 to 127.20, with a subsequent level at 122.33 to 117.06. The next company I have for you is going to be Cadence, ticker symbol CDNS. In the supply zone, be mindful and see what happens on this on Monday to make sure it holds. This has already worked for a 1-to-1 and a 2-to-1. So utilize this level for caution. The next supply level I have for you is 367.02 to 374.68. And that aggressive level is going to be at 333.25 to 341.47. On the demand side, 265.98 to 244.77. Next company I have for you is Brown and Brown, ticker symbol BRO. On the demand side, 59.49 to 57.66. On the supply side, 87.27 and 90.49. Next company I have for you is going to be Nucor, ticker symbol NUE. No supply. On the demand side, 190.64 to 186.90, and a subsequent level at 173.64 to 167.18. Next company I have for you is Amcor Technology, ticker symbol AMKR. No supply on the demand side, 62.30 to 58.19. Moving on to Tuesday, and it's going to be before the market. First company I have for you is going to be UPS. On the demand side, 98.18 to 95.45, and a subsequent level at 88.78 to 85.83. On the supply side, 114.15 to 117.21. Next company I have for you is going to be Spotify, ticker symbol SPOT. First demand level, 492.58 to 460.28, and 397.84 to 362.42. Supply nowhere near in sight, all the way up at 766.52 to 786.03. Next company I have for you is going to be Corning, ticker symbol GLW. No supply on the demand side, 148.35 to 140.41, and a subsequent level at 116.65 to 99.45. Next company I have for you, Coca-Cola, ticker symbol KO. On the supply side, 77.32 to 78.53. Be mindful that this level has worked on 2 occasions. So more conservative level is going to be at 80.78 to 82.01. On the demand side, 73.66 to 72.19, with a subsequent level at 71.68 to 62.72. Next company I have for you is Galaxy, ticker symbol GLXY. On the demand side, 15.98 to 13.21. On the supply side, 39.56 to 41.52. Next company I have for you is going to be GM, ticker symbol GM. Big supply zone here, 82.17 to 95.07. This level has worked on numerous occasions. Be mindful of that. On the demand side, 59.02 to 56.73. Next company I have for you is Hilton, ticker symbol HLT. No supply on the demand side, 306.94 to 296.59. Moving on to Tuesday afternoon, first company I have for you is going to be Robinhood, ticker symbol HOOD. On the demand side, 66.95 to 57.35. Be mindful that this level worked pretty well already. We have a subsequent level at 51.19 to 45.51. On the supply side, 104.81 to 110.97, and a subsequent level at 114.70 to 124.95. Next company I have for you is going to be Seagate, ticker symbol STX. No supply on the demand side, 510.13 to 487.20. Next coming in half for you is going to be Visa on the demand side, 290.78 to 280.10. On the supply side, 355.37 to 360.03. Moving on to Wednesday morning, first coming in half for you is going to be SoFi on the demand side, 15.58 to 13.89. This level has worked pretty well. So in the event of an overshoot, 11.18 to 10.37. And on the supply side, 24.32 to 25.56. Next coming in half for you is going to be Humana, ticker symbol HUM. On the demand side, and be mindful this level has worked 177.42 to 163.01, and on the supply side, 263.57 to 274.89. Next company I have for you is AbbVie, ticker symbol ABBV. Inside of a demand zone right now, so see if this plays out by Wednesday morning, 200.34 to 193.64, and no supply in sight. Next company I have for you is going to be Regeneron, ticker symbol REGN. On the demand side, 659.43 to 624.32. On the supply side, 814.47 to 851.37. Be mindful that the supply zone has worked on numerous occasions. Next company I have for you is going to be Lemonade, ticker symbol LMND. On the demand side, 38.74 to 35.42. 87.72 to 94.37. Now, getting into the big boys of earnings, and this is going to be Wednesday afternoon. I typically don't cover this, but I'm going to do this as a bonus this week. Usually, if you want to get this information, you have to be a subscribed member and get the Mag 7 on a weekly basis. However, feeling generous this week, here we go. First company I have for you is Microsoft on the demand side, 394.55 to 389.80, with a subsequent level at 382.67 to 379.16. On the supply side, this level has worked for 33.27 to 442.24. So in the event Microsoft has positive earnings, do not be shocked if we get up to 474.05 to 496.66. Next is Amazon, just hit all-time highs. There is no supply. First demand zone I have for you is at 240.06 to 235.30, with a subsequent level at 224.05 to 219.51. Next is going to be Meta, ticker symbol META. No supply in Meta. These levels have already worked. Just utilize them with caution. 742.79 to 759.64 and 775.06 to 796.25. On the demand side, 635.35 to 622.98, with a subsequent level at 577.37 and 559.50. Then finishing it off with Google. No supply in Google. Let's change this. First demand zone I have for you is going to be right here at 318.07 to 309.45. Next thing I have for you is going to be Qualcomm on the demand side, 121.63 to 171.10, and supply all the way at 209.22 to 215.83. Next couple I have for you is going to be Chipotle, ticker symbol CMG. You can see this level has worked for us on numerous occasions this year. 32.72 to 29.44 on the demand side, 45.23 to 47.17 on the supply side. Next company I have for you is going to be Ford, ticker symbol F. On the demand side, 9.71 to 920. On the supply side, 14.93 to 15.40. Moving on to Thursday morning, first company I have for you is going to be Caterpillar. No supply. First demand zone I have for you is going to be at 725.66 to 702.65, with a subsequent level at 652.29 to 619.54. Next company I have for you is going to be Eli Lilly, ticker symbol LLY. On the demand side, 834.95 to 807.17. No true to supply in Lilly. Next company I have for you, MasterCard, ticker symbol MA. On the demand side, 460.61 to 451.11. On the supply side, 535.28 to 543.02, with a subsequent level at 550.43 to 561.71. Next, moving on to Thursday after the close is going to be Apple. First supply zone I have for you is at 284.37 to 288.88. This has worked on numerous occasions, so if Apple decides to take off, I think it's going to violate this zone. So we're going to stick with the 284.37 to 288.80. On the demand side, first level I have for you is going to be at 264.65 to 263.06, with a subsequent level at 252.75 to 249.76. Next company I have for you is Sandisk, ticker symbol SNDK. This ticker has been on a tear this year. On the demand side, 735.28 to 686.48, there is no supply in Sandisk. Next company I have for you is going to be Reddit, ticker symbol RDDT. On the demand side, 118.43 to 106.22. On the supply side, 209.53 to 222.80. Next company I have for you is going to be Amgen, ticker symbol AMGN. No supply on the demand side, 303.84 to 287.87. Next is going to be First Solar, ticker symbol FSLR. On the demand side, 132.18 to 122.27. And on the supply side, 266.39 to 286.45. Wrapping it up with Friday. First company I have for you is going to be CVX, also known as Chevron, ticker symbol 199.34 to 205.42 for the supply zone. And then on the demand side, 168.26 to 164.09. Next is going to be ExxonMobil, ticker symbol XOM, 141.50 to 137.71. On the demand side, 160.53 to 166.76 on the supply side. And then Estee Lauder. Estee Lauder came from our demand zone and went all the way up to 130. We're coming back to this 55.72 to 49.44. No true supply until a lot higher. So focusing on this demand zone to see if we can hit it again. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for me in the charts this week with the Super Bowl of earnings on the horizon. If you're not doing so already, follow me on social media. Feel free to email me if you want to learn more. Don't forget to hit the subscribe and like button. Until next time, happy trading.